Welcome to the Infill Podcast, where we interview the most interesting members of the 3D printing and maker communities, live and with audience participation. And now, here is your host, Jonathan Levy.
Hello, everybody. All right, we're going to pretend like none of that happened. Welcome, everybody. Apologies, I am, as you can see, on vacation. And so there were some delays getting us live and on the air, but I'm really excited for today's episode. We have a very special guest. So without any further ado, because you've all been waiting for me for 20 minutes, allow me to introduce one of the preeminent and most well-known, most beloved designers in the 3D printing community, someone whose work I guarantee you have seen. And Wekster, welcome, my friend. How are you? Can you hear me?
Hey, I'm
Welcome.
constantly losing your audio, so hey
We're
man.
gonna do the absolute best we can on Italian mobile hotspot internet, and hopefully everyone can hear us. Let us know in the chat if you can hear us. Wekster, tell us a bit about yourself. I never know how to do these bios because
Yo,
everyone that I interview is so interesting that I never know how to adequately do their bio justice. Tell me a little bit about you and your story and your journey in the 3D printing community.
well, I started 3D printing randomly like 5 years ago. One of my absolutely nothing, so I actually started checking out on the internet, and at the same time, for some reason, my colleague on the other computer started also checking printers, and
Mm-hmm.
I took that as some kind of sign. So I did a quick research and I decided to buy a printer, but obviously I didn't do a lot of research because my first printer was a net A8,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I had that printer for I think 7 or 8 days, and then I got Creality CR10, and then I just started printing stuff. I started. Um, my idea was just have a YouTube channel and occasionally just as a hobby start printing other people's models, movie props, that kind of stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
then I started experimenting more. I've noticed that there are like easier 3D software now because of the work that I do. I do like TV commercials and animation. So I've used a lot of 3D software, but never for modeling because for me everything like it always looked way too complicated.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen Fusion 360, so I just started experimenting, and then I started making my own models, and it was non-organic stuff. Then I wanted to make something more organic, and that's how I created my mini dudes, and I kind of got stuck with them.
That's so interesting. So, as I
uh,
understand,
only I'm all
oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, the sound is delayed, so I didn't notice that you actually started talking.
All
Continue.
good. Keep going. Keep going. It's interesting.
No, it's like I started doing that, and I had no clue that I'm gonna enjoy it that much. I liked 3D printing from the first day. I actually had my first print on and that was successful. I was really happy with it, and immediately I was seeing all the potential, but I had no clue that you know I'm gonna be part of this community and that I'm gonna create models every day, and that I'm gonna find so many cool people in this community and
Yeah.
call them my friends. It's like it was totally an unexpected thing, and I'm super happy that I decided to do that.
It's funny you say that, and I agree. I did a video about 3D printing and why I think more people should get into the hobby if they're not already. And one of my big like, I didn't expect was just the community and how social this is. Because you think it's a bunch of people tinkering in their basements with printers, but you don't realize. And maybe my theory is that because so many of us got into this, so many of us, I know you've been in this forever, but got into it during COVID when so much of interaction was online, that it's, especially in the
Mhm.
last few years, become so community oriented because we're all looking for other makers and community and social interactions. And And the other thing I think is the open source culture, right? Of like, you make something, I share it with you, you share it with me, things like that is
Yeah,
really,
yeah,
really cool.
yeah.
So
I really like this community, how everything is like properly shared, and everyone is crediting people. It's something that you don't see a lot. You see that
right.
kind of stuff when people are just doing some kind of sponsor thing, and, oh, I'm wearing this thing from this company, blah blah. Here everything gets created properly, and it's like such a
Right.
normal thing. You can get all the information without asking someone, and it's like everyone is supporting everyone through through posts, through everything. And
It's super
it's really
altruistic.
it's such a cool community.
It really is.
I'm saying that like nonstop.
Now, I want to go into your journey a little bit.
Why is my
So
camera
you're a
quality so
full-time,
bad?
yeah, everyone's joking in the chat that the train's going by your house, which I had to ask the people in the chat what's the inside joke. Apparently there's an inside joke about a train going by your house, but it's fine. We hear you great.
Well, so when I moved in this house of the city, and I'm next to the railway, and at the beginning, whenever a train passed, my internet just dropped like crazy. So all of these people know me and know that
That's
that
really
happens.
funny.
But
So that gets
now
into the next
I
question
was
I wanted to
testing
ask, which
internet.
is
It should be really
you're a
fine.
full-time creator, right? You create models, and then I think you also create video content as well, full-time.
Well, yes and no. I mean, so I work as a TV commercial director slash
Mm,
editor slash whatever, and I also have a company that produces game trailers. So
hmm
those are like things that I call my job. I'm still pretending that 3D printing, 3D sculpting is my hobby, but I mean, it's not. It turned into a business. I had to
Right,
actually open a company just for this thing, but I'm still
right.
pretending it's just a hobby, because like whenever you say that something is work, it becomes completely different. And I really
Yes.
love what I'm doing right now, so I'm just gonna pretend it's a hobby.
So you have a lot of jobs then. How much time, because I know nothing about 3D sculpting and it fascinates me because it is, as you said, so different from organic modeling. How much time are you spending every week on making your mini
Mm.
dudes and designing?
Well, it's hard to say, but I try at least to sculpt 3 4 times per day on
Per
on an
day?
extremely busy day. When I have time, when I'm trying to do more. Yeah, I'm just I was mentioned that the other day. Um, I'm I'm managing my time by removing stuff that's not important for me. So for
Hmm
me, it's like family is the top priority. Then all the things that have deadlines,
hmm
and free time that I had, I don't know, before for watching TV, for doing some other stuff, I usually try to spend with sculpting because it's the most interesting thing. Uh, I do a lot of games. I play a lot of games for work.
hmm
So these days I'm not playing everything that comes out that I would usually do because I picked this thing as my priority. So I'm just sculpting whenever
Yeah.
I can
It's
and
very
whenever I'm
impressive.
motivated. So
It's very impressive
sometimes
to me when I meet folks like
sometimes
yourself
I'm
or
just gonna reduce my sleep and do that.
yeah, it blows my mind when I meet folks like yourself or Stefan or Daniel from Modbot, and it's like they've become, such active members of this community, such recognized members in this community. You've become, and you guys have a whole totally different life outside of 3D printing. Um, it's amazing to me how people manage their time,
Yeah.
so well. Amazing. So tell me about the journey of going into organic
Well,
sculpting.
you always need to sacrifice something.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, for me, how I started organic sculpting, at the beginning it was really hard because, like I said, I started doing stuff in Fusion, and you know, it at that time only those people who are extremely who are extremely well educated when it comes to software knew how to make something awesome. And
Right.
like whatever I searched for on internet, on YouTube, about organic sculpting, they just said like, don't do it in Fusion, pick something else.
Yeah,
And I
helpful.
was really tempted, like I really wanted to stick with Fusion because it's really great software. Like, I don't know
Right.
if you've ever tried to make something in it. It's such a cool software. And I started making my mini dudes, and I adjusted. I basically adapted to the software and to the limitation of the software and what I can do. And after I did, like, I don't know, 10 mini dudes, I wanted to do more stuff, more details, and
Right.
I couldn't do it. uh, there are certain limitations, and then decided I'm just gonna try to learn ZBrush. But ZBrush was, for me, something that whenever I just tried to use it, it was like, damn, this thing is hard. It has completely different logic than anything else that I've used.
Right.
And how my friend would say, I couldn't be bothered just learning that
Right.
thing. Uh, but it was one of the priorities, because, like, okay, I need to learn this software if I
Hmm.
want to do something better. And then I just started over the weekend, and I noticed that the software wasn't that hard as I expected. But
Hmm.
now it opened so many possibilities, and I could have applied more details. But now it was the tricky thing, how to keep non-organic shape that I had from Fusion, add some stuff, but still keep it in the same style. So I was a bit struggling with that. But I started experimenting more with other type of characters. And because I was drawing as a kid, I was always trying to make something,
Hmm.
some kind of art. Uh, it became natural, and I noticed that I enjoy just sculpting, just spending time in front of ZBrush, and it became my obsession. That's why I said I reduce so many other things just to do that. Come home, I spend the time with my family. Then when they go to bed, because they were going to bed early, I spend the
Yeah.
rest of the night just sculpting and trying to make some YouTube videos and all that. I was all over the place.
Very cool. That
But then
reminds me of
it just
Zombie Hedgehog.
became
Same
a thing
thing.
that you do every day. And oh yeah, dude, Zombie Hedgehog. He has such a cool name. I told him that a bunch of times.
Well, he
I
just
love
came in the
his
chat, and I
name.
was just thinking, and endeavors they know how to utilize and take advantage of the time after the kids go to bed. I'm curious about the tech stack. So when you use ZBrush, is it
Yeah.
on a tablet or a Wacom, or what does that look like?
Well, I started with normal tablet, and then one company, like, because I was looking in uh, some kind of graphic display, but it was out of my price range at that time. But then one company decided to send me one. I tried it, and I just switched to that. It's something like, I don't know if you can see it, but this thing here. So
Okay, so
I'm
it's like
mostly
a
sculpting
touchscreen
on
tablet
that.
that you can use a pen on.
Yeah. You draw directly on that, and it's it has its good sides, because like, when you're just sculpting something on a tablet, your hand is somewhere else, and you're watching at a screen. So your eye
Right.
and hand coordination is based on what you see on the screen. Here you sculpt directly onto the screen, and wherever your
Mm,
point is, you are sculpting on that, and that makes you more precise. But
right.
I've noticed another problem, because I'm now looking kind of downwards constantly. uh, Most stuff has a weird perspective for me.
Right.
So when I'm finalizing my model, I actually need to put it on one of my screens in front, so I can see it, because I'm looking from completely different angle
Yeah.
than I should, whenever I'm sculpting normally. It's such a weird thing, but it makes a huge difference.
I'm very surprised that they at this point, with the processing power of like the iPad Pros, the big ones, that it's not just easier to do that. Is that because software
Hmm.
ZBrush isn't available for those big iPads, or because you need more processing power?
Uh, I think you need more processing power with ZBrush, but then again, I I'm seeing such a great examples made with the Nomad Sculpt, and you know it it looks like, in some cases, it looks so much better than stuff that I've seen on ZBrush. So I'm not really sure. I'm not into technical stuff. I like when stuff works, and that's it.
That's cool.
Uh,
That's very, very
but
cool.
for me, I would eventually, I would love to sculpt on a tablet, but I don't know, when I'm actually sitting on a table and I'm you know doing all my shortcuts with the keyboard and all of that. I always think that I'm much faster than
Right.
with just the iPad.
For
But
sure.
and it's something that if I just started now and start just on an iPad,
I lost you. Oh no.
oh,
You're
I'm
back.
I'm losing it totally. Oh,
We've got
okay,
Italian
yeah.
mobile Wi-Fi
It's
internet, and
funny,
we've got
like
Croatian
you're
internet.
you're now closer to me than ever.
Right.
Yeah, like we are next to each other, like
I know, right? But I'm on
Italy, Croatia.
I will say props to Vodafone, because actually the broadcast quality, at least my side, is pretty good. So, which by the way is a good time. Really
No,
quickly, we have
I
to thank today's sponsor. So I'm going to do that really quick, and we'll be right back. For some reason, it always mutes me when I go to the sponsor. But the sponsor of today's show is PCBWay, everybody. Make sure to check them out for anything you need to do to level up your projects, whether it's PCBs for incredibly affordable prices or any kind of sheet metal, uh, let's see, CNC machining, injection molding, industrial 3D printing, rapid prototyping, and much, much, much more. CNC machining is one of their newer services. Make sure to check them out because they're highly affordable, high quality, and they support the show. So check them out. All right, and now we'll come back to our wonderfully entertaining guest, Wekster. So someone asked in the chat, and they said this was going to be a painful question for you, so I apologize in advance. How do you work around IP? Is the stuff that you do considered fan art and it's derivative work, or have you had any issues with IP in the past?
um no, I didn't. I didn't had any problems, but doesn't mean that I won't eventually. Um, I actually would love to have an option to get some sort of license that I can
Mm-hmm.
like uh, pay for it, so I can do this kind of stuff, because like it's so much easier
Yeah,
to sculpt something that it's a fan art, uh, because you know the material, you love the material, so I'm always sculpting something that I like, but at the
yeah,
same time, in a lot of cases, I'm trying to kind of go slightly away from the original.
right.
Whenever I'm sculpting something, I'm trying to keep it my own, so it's not exact, like uh, a rip of something. For like mini dudes, they are caricatures.
Right.
They go under the parody, so I should be okay.
Yeah,
And like I am sculpting all of this, and people print my stuff. Like people get access when they join my Patreon, but I'm still trying not to do that bad stuff as much of people do. Just throw it on websites where you can actually buy the model. Uh, the reason when I started my Patreon was to get enough money to buy ZBrush. That was my
mm-hmm.
first goal. But then like then you need something else. And at the beginning, I was naive, thinking that Patreon is a platform where people support creators, and for me, it was a easier thing when I was thinking, okay, I am doing whatever I'm doing, and I'm doing stuff that I like. No one is forcing me to do this, so people are just paying for the support. They get access to my
Right.
files in return as a reward. But I cannot say that I'm on the right side here. This is still gray area to, I would say, illegal,
Right.
but it's really hard because it's not properly set yet.
Well,
Uh,
I feel
I'm
like your
gonna
stuff
continue
is very,
doing
very
this kind of
different,
stuff,
as
and
you
I
said.
said
It's caricatures.
I'm I'm trying to. I'm always trying to do something different. I'm not saying that I'm original, but I'm trying to be slightly different than everyone else, so
Yeah.
people can recognize me. If you do the same thing like everyone else, you're just gonna fall into that one category, and
Right.
and that's it.
Well, I do wonder how someone like Fotis Mint avoids difficulty with like his Spider-Man or his Deadpool. I think it's the Deadpool. A lot of his
Mm.
characters are spot on, and I wonder maybe it's just,
No,
considered fan
Deadpool
art.
Deadpool is from Eastman.
Ah,
But
you're
yeah,
right. Eastman. I'm thinking of Eastman. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, we talked about it actually. The three of us, Fotis, Eastman, and I, about it, and it's like sometimes it's bad. Like you make something that you really like, and it's connected to some kind of IP, and then someone just reshares your thing and tags all the people who shouldn't know about it, and it's
Right.
like, oh, it's gonna be a problem.
But you gotta
Um,
imagine though
like
that
like Aaron, I think
sorry, go ahead.
I think I'm talking for a lot of artists. Like, we would all love to do original stuff,
Right.
but in most cases, original stuff doesn't end well as fan art. And
Right.
uh, like you spend days and days making something original, for example, and and no one cares. If you
Right.
make some kind of, I don't know, Batman, everyone will go crazy. Everyone is gonna print it because it's super likable character,
Right.
and it just cannot be that. And sometimes, like, I'm still trying to make original stuff. That's why I'm making some kind of mask. I started doing other stuff out of my comfort zone, like, some kind of chests, egg holders, something different, just to get away from that slightly, so it's
Yeah.
not only fan art nonstop. Well, last month, I think it was last month. Man, I'm losing months like crazy. I did Monkey King, and
That's
Monkey
cool.
King is something that it's like based on stories, what, 800 years ago.
Right.
So again, it's a different style than something else that's maybe connected to IP, but a lot of people don't care about it.
Yeah, what's interesting to me though is you have to imagine, I mean, yeah, IP is IP and I get that. But at the
Yeah.
same time, a lot of this is you know, there's something to be said about fan art, right? And it's like, do these companies want to turn off their most loyal fan bases if you're creating art, you know what I mean? Like where do you draw that line, right? So the little kid drawing Spider-Man on his school projects, like do you stop the line there because it's non-commercial? And I think it would be different if you were mass producing or if Eastman was mass
Uh,
producing them and selling them. But it's more like,
okay.
I don't know. To
There's a
me it seems
problem.
like it's not harming so much.
Uh, I wouldn't know. I'm not I'm not
Yeah.
checking their bills and everything. But I'm looking at it like, if it's connected, or with like, if the money is connected or not. Still, in some cases, I get the damages made. For example, uh, Mandalorian season 1 comes out, and
Right.
everyone goes crazy about Grogu. There's no toys available.
Mm,
So few of us make Grogu's model, people are happy because they can print it, they can have it. It's great because we did something that people can have in their homes. But then it comes at other thing. Okay, these guys maybe profited from it,
Right.
which is bad. But then comes
Right.
another thing. For those who have made a model and made it publicly available for everything, those people have actually gave away that model to everyone. So
Right.
that's more produced thing than someone who is holding their stuff on Patreon and have I don't know, a few hundred of patrons.
Right.
So it's kind of like tricky, but people
Yeah.
will immediately look at creators and say like, oh, these guys are profiting, let's take them down. Again, I'm not disagreeing with them.
Right.
uh
Well,
like
soon
I'm not
enough,
saying that I'm right when it comes to that.
we're not far away from a lot of these things coming out into the public domain. Like the first Spider-Man novels and Batman novels are from like the 1940s, 1950s, I think. So it's not that far. I mean, they've had a good run, but I get you that it's
Mm,
important to respect IP, you know.
eh,
Um,
s- s-
mhm,
so there's a huge difference with that because they are sneaky when it comes to that. For example, I think I also mentioned that somewhere. You have Frankenstein, and
mhm,
that's public domain. You can use name Frankenstein. You can create a monster, call it like Frankenstein monster, all of that. But if you use green monster in a familiar shape with bolts, that's still copyrighted,
wow,
and they can just take you down. So
wow,
yeah, some companies are actually putting trademark on different shapes on like 2 3 things that will just signal at the same time, some kind of shape, some kind of color, some kind something that that makes the character tick. And then you have a public domain thing is not same in every country.
right,
I think
right.
like Little Prince was it, it's public domain. I think everywhere in
In
Europe,
France, yeah,
but I
yeah.
think in Canada it's gonna be only after 10 years because they have some kind of different thing.
Interesting.
Who can track that? Honestly,
Yeah,
I
it's
cannot.
very frustrating,
And,
and I
and
think
now
it's
you have
like,
AI thing.
right.
It's gonna produce so many things. It's crazy.
It's frustrating because in our world of 3D printing, everything's open and free and open source, and then we come up against these big companies, that have been milking this IP for decades and decades, and they want to keep milking it, and I get that. By the way, everyone in the chat, feel free to start asking
Uh,
questions, and we'll fit them in as we go through the rest of the interview. This is one of the perks and benefits of being live. Um, Wekster, I want to ask you what do you feel? What are you excited about in this space and this industry, whether it's 3D modeling or whether it's models that you're working on or new printers or new technologies? What are you excited about right now?
well, I'm always excited about my next model until I
Yeah,
finished. Uh, yeah, and sometimes I get way too excited, and then I start like or 4 models at the same time. Currently, I'm working on 3 models. I'm just skipping between them because I can't figure out which one I like the most at the moment. Uh, but it's always that like for me, I enjoy in sculpting, but just that idea. Oh, I'm gonna sculpt this thing and then I'm gonna do that, and then that's the thing that excites me. It's like looking towards future kind of thing that that's such a human thing to do. Like
to create.
we don't live in now. It's always like, oh, what I'm gonna do next,
That's
and
absolutely true.
I'm exactly like that. When it comes to technology, I really hope that everything is gonna be so much faster
Yeah.
because I'm extremely impatient guy when it comes to 3D printing. Always have been that, and but at the same time, I kind of enjoy it because you make something and then you throw it on the printer, and then you can plan your day. Like, okay, I have now like 11 hours until this thing is done. Now what? Oh, maybe I'm gonna go outside. Maybe I'm gonna do something else. It's like
Right.
uh,
Maybe I'll go
I
outside today. So you said
yeah,
11
like
hours.
just
I
to see
imagine you're
how
printing.
it's outside.
Are you printing most of your models in FDM, or do you print a lot in resin as well?
I print my stuff in resin and FDM. I'm pretty happy that most of my stuff on FDM is much faster than my resin prints, but
Yeah,
resin prints are so damn good. I love the quality.
yeah.
Uh, like I usually just print before I was printing stuff on FDM to see can it be printed. I don't know without the support. Have I pronounced enough details so they are actually visible?
Hmm.
Uh, that kind of tests. But now I occasionally like pre-support my models for Patreon, so I need to test that. But also at the same time, I really, like I said, I really love resin prints because all the stuff that you do, it's like you look at all of your like you make all the details on the sculpt, you can see them. FDM doesn't show all of that, but then when you get a resin print, all of those details are there, but it's kind of different because like you can hold that model. It's
Right,
like completely different perspective. And while you're sculpting, you're basically looking everything under a certain light. So now when you
right,
actually go through a room and you see different lights and how it's forming
right.
around the model, it's like still super exciting for me.
I love how you have this childlike wonder and enjoyment. You're like a kid. Every time you talk about your
Oh
models,
yeah,
it's amazing to me. And it's a testament to what you said that you haven't turned it into a business because it's you have the excitement
yeah.
about it that I
I
have
mean,
for hobbies.
I would love to. I mean, like I said, I would love to keep it as a hobby, but I would love to just do that. Like
Yeah,
entire day, I don't know, 10 hours of sculpting, then spend the rest with the family, do some other stuff. It would be a great thing, but uh, I also love the other thing that I do in life. I really love making game trailers. I really love
hmm,
directing commercials with my colleagues. It's like
yeah,
you know, something that you have good and bad days in everything, and then
sure,
something is like, oh, I cannot handle this thing, but there's something else that is gonna bright up your day, and
yeah.
that's why I love to have options.
How long does it take you? We just got a great question submitted from Dražen Juric. Sorry if I mispronounced that.
Dražen
Uh,
Juric.
Drazen Juric. I was close. How long does it take you to sculpt one sculpture on average, and how long do they take to print on average?
Well, it really depends of the model and how motivated I was. Like sometimes for some kind of bust, I can make it in a few hours.
Wow.
uh, and it definitely gonna take less time for me to sculpt it than print it. Uh, but then in some
Less time
cases,
to
like
sculpt it
when you
than
don't have
print
a
it.
reference, when you have to think about it, when you're
Wow.
yeah, because I'm practicing every day, so I can sculpt. I can sculpt pretty fast, but uh, so well, I should explain this. I can sculpt basic stuff really fast. Faces, do like the basic things, but then you go into that other problem, and that's detailing. So
Right.
you either need to unwrap everything, to apply the textures to make something. For example, I was now doing just that like little egg holder, and there are scales on the side, and those are the scales that I actually sculpted and turned them into a brush that I can use and create them much faster. So those are the details that it really depends how fast and how like quickly you're gonna be happy with something. So
Right.
sometimes I can spend few hours just sculpting part of the jacket, or something else, or you make a basic stuff and you like it, but then you start overthinking like, is this model enough? Because I
Right.
have like 300-400 models, and now I'm questioning most of the stuff. I would be happy if I can just turn off that part of my brain and just say like, okay, move on. Let's draw this on the printer. Let's call it a day, and that's it. But
Right.
then comes that other thing. Whenever I finish a model, there's at least a day of preparation that people are not aware of, because you need to, like I said, prepare everything, test everything, uh, prepare renders, prepare posts, check all the files, you know, uh, and then if I just do that stupid thing that I like to do, and that's like I look at the model and say, maybe I could turn it into a multi-material. That's additional day of me just
Yeah.
cutting the parts so they fit perfectly and all that, and like I like doing that stuff in ZBrush, but then sometimes I really wish that I'm doing stuff in Fusion, because when it comes to this kind of export, it's so much easier.
Right.
But
Wow.
that's the part that I don't enjoy, and it's like I would rather just sculpt and someone else to be tortured by that part of the work.
Well, you
It would be
probably could
so much better,
outsource it.
because then I
I
would
mean,
be.
I'm like the poster boy for outsourcing, because once I'm done with this episode with you, which is what I want to be
Uh,
doing, the part I enjoy doing, I'll hand it over to my assistant and or video editor and I'll just, every all the stuff that I am not good at or that I don't want to do will just be done for me. And I feel like if you don't like doing that
so
part, you
so
probably
there's
could.
one thing. Uh, I like I said, I have a company that makes trailers. There are a few of us who are working on everything, and it's not always on me. Uh, we are making commercials, and for a like TV commercial, you sometimes have like 20, 30 people that are working for
Right.
you, and all of that is great. But for me, when it comes to sculpting and everything, it needs to be my stuff.
It has to
Whenever
be
someone
yours.
is supporting me on Patreon, they are supporting just me and my family, no one else.
Right, right.
Like sometimes
Yeah,
someone will jump in
that's
to
fair.
help me. We're gonna do some kind of collaboration. I have some really cool guys that I like to work with. But it's always like I'm one kind of I don't have a team. I'm just one guy who likes to do that kind of stuff,
I
and
feel you. I agree with you on the sculpting, but if it's like, hey, taking photos of it, I don't know.
well,
We can poll the people here in the audience. But like
I was
taking
a
photos of
photographer,
it or
so
splitting it to multi-material, I feel like people would, if it meant that you could do more models for them and do. So Dan Sullivan has this concept called unique ability, where it's like each person on this planet should only do what they're extremely good at and what brings them joy and happiness. So, like, if you don't like writing the blog posts on your Patreon, then find someone who was put on this earth to write blog posts, who wakes up every morning going, I can't wait to see what Wekster assigns to me today because I get to write it. You know what I mean? It's not for everybody, but
yeah.
it's an interesting
No,
idea.
I get all of that, but it's like I did, I think, like 200 of mini dudes, and most of them
Yep.
are multi-material. When I'm sculpting, I know how exactly I'm gonna prepare files, so I'm gonna make my life slightly easier. But I
Right.
still love to go through all of that and to say, okay, I did all of that. If there's some kind of mistake, it's still on me. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna point fingers at someone else, or I like to have this kind of control when I'm writing posts, and I absolutely hate that, because usually I don't know what to write. But like sometimes you just need to write something, and you know that people are not gonna read. In most cases, people just don't read; they just look at the text. Maybe if I put something like bold, they're gonna read it, and that's it. Uh, it's I don't know, but still all of those thoughts, everything that I put there, it's mine. It's like it's my little project, and I like to keep it like that. Like
That's fair.
I mentioned, my friend Freddy, he also has a Patreon. He also does a lot of cool models, and he's making like mini dioramas for my mini dudes.
Cool.
He's really getting great. Uh, if I'm gonna do some kind of project with someone else involved, then that's gonna be a separate project that
Yeah.
we're gonna make something different, and we're gonna make it together. So uh, I like these kind of things where I can do a collaboration, but it's gonna be off project. It's not gonna be connected to my Patreon.
Yeah, yeah.
My patrons are gonna like benefit from it definitely in some way, but it's gonna be a separate thing.
Fair. Fair.
Uh,
I admire that. Um, so we're getting a lot of good questions in the chat here. Um, did you have any inspiration for the shape and design of your minis? That comes from Zombie Hedgehog because they're very unique. They're very distinctive. Where, if anywhere, did that inspiration come from?
for mini dudes.
Yeah.
Well, I said how patient and how I hate waiting for prints. So when I was making something, it kind of connected. Again, I was in Fusion, and I was like, okay, what's the thing that I can do? I can do stuff from basic shapes because when you're starting any kind of stylized model, you basically start from random shapes, and even if you're sketching some kind of figure, you're still using spheres and cylinders to figure out where the hand is gonna be if you're doing some kind of pose. And then I was like looking at something and figuring like, oh, but if I can make a character out of just spheres and cylinders and boxes and all of
Mm,
that. So that's how I created a mini dude, and it was like, okay, it needs to be super simple so I can print it fast. And
yeah.
I think like that was 2 hours, like 2.5 hour print, which is great compared to everything else that I tried, and it was like 10, 15, 20 hours.
Yeah.
Uh, that was a nightmare for me.
I
Like I
bet.
I I hate waiting when I go in the car and I just look at my watch and I'm waiting for my daughter to get dressed so I can drive her to school. I get super nervous in like five
I
seconds,
get you.
and
I'm the
this is
same
me.
way. Well, that's actually a really good segue to Pez Liz's question. She wanted to know how has the Bamboo's speed, or just the speed, because there are other fast printers now, Vorons and stuff like that. How has the speed of the new generation of printers and maybe the AMSs that are now actually good changed your workflow or changed what you've been able to do? Or has it at all because you're so good at modeling that you don't need to print prototypes?
Uh, First of all, that's wrong because I don't think that I'm that good that I don't need to print stuff. I would never release something that I haven't printed unless like specify that it's a goofy thing and it's like, when I
Yeah, no,
make
I
something
meant
for my
that
my
maybe
daughter
you have to
and
print it
like, oh,
once or
here you
twice
go.
instead of 10
But
times. But yeah, I get you. I get you.
uh, well, when I started, like, uh, bamboos are my go-to printers right now. Uh,
Hmm.
they're they're super fast for prototyping for everything. They cut down that impatient part of me. Like I can quickly see some prototypes, and that's great. When it comes to multi-material, I think they're the most reliable.
Right.
And like I've used multi-material MU2. I've used palette, and um, I mean I had a lot of problems with both devices.
Right.
And in a lot of cases, because you're trying to print something that's multi-material and it takes 15, 20 hours, and then if you have a failure after 10, 12 hours, it's much harder than seeing a failure in one color. And it was like, oh, should I try again? Should I do this? And it's like, at one point I really didn't want to touch multi-material, but with AMSs, I got excited about it again, because in most cases I'm not gonna say it's perfect, because not, I haven't seen the printer that it's absolutely perfect, but it it makes my stuff like without any issues in most cases, and it has such successful rate that's great. But it's also making a problem for me, because now for example, I have 16 colors, and
Yeah.
I don't think I will ever push it to 16 colors, because that's just an overkill, and it's gonna take for a very long time to print stuff. But it's like when I'm dividing model in colors, I'm still thinking like, no, some people just still have 5 colors. These ones will not be able to print it with this many colors, and it's like,
Right.
I would love for everyone to have like the same amount of colors, so we can all agree
Right.
like, okay, this is gonna be this thing is gonna have 10 colors and that's it. Uh, but I love that everyone is now trying to make their printers a bit faster. That's like speed
Yes.
became something that made a lot of people excited. Obviously, there's always like that thing that people not realize that, with speed there are some things that can be a problem.
Right.
Like I've noticed, uh, like even on a bamboo, when I'm switching between some profiles, that you can get even more speed, but the quality is not going to be that great.
Right.
uh, I'm when it comes to 3D printing, I'm the person who just picks just like basic default options,
Yep.
because I like to print my stuff. That first, I don't like to tinker. I don't like to tweak any options. I never bother to learn how all that stuff works. And for me, the excuse is like, oh, I'm just testing everything to see how absolute noob would print my model. So
Right.
you know, it's always like that. I just pick some options, and then I get information from other people. Like for example, those profiles on Bamboo. That's one of my friend Cheap. He's in the chat. I can see he suggested that I can try, and then we experiment, and we've seen the difference. So there are a lot of printers now who will try to make much faster prints, and some of them will succeed, some will have, you know not they will not have that great quality. But it's going to come down to that thing: do you like your prints to be fast, or do you like them to look good? You
Right.
need,
Right.
at least there are going to be options. For me,
So
print faster is so much better. For someone else, he doesn't care. He has, I don't know, 10 printers, so he's just gonna toss around stuff and look at them later. It's not gonna be He's not gonna be focused on that. Me as a creator, when I make something, I really want to see it as fast as possible so I can release it, so I
right.
can move on with my life and do some other models. So it's like a circle for me.
Yeah, yeah. So Zombie asks, and I'm also curious, on average, I know it's probably different for every model, but how many times do you need to print a model and iterate and print and iterate before you're happy with it?
um Phew. Sometimes, in most cases, I just do one print and then I tweak it, and then I give it to someone else to test it for the
Cool.
final. Because I'm like, I have some people who will try my prints, and they will point me in the right direction. At some point you will not spot all the mistakes. Like I had a print, I looked at them and they were good for me. I was searching for some mistakes that I was afraid of, but then I missed something completely,
Yeah,
like,
yeah. You
that
can't
was
check your
obvious,
own
but for
work
me,
often.
yeah. Uh, I, like you usually you can, but it needs to, like when it comes to sculpting likeness, like you can't make likeness in a few hours unless you're extremely talented and well aware of everything, because you can sculpt something and it's going to be great. You're going to move out of the room, you're going to come 2 hours later, and it's going to look like,
Yes.
crap. So uh same thing with this. If you want to be fast at one point, you need to have second opinion.
Right.
And that's like, there's a thing where I'm satisfied with the model, and then I throw it away. I give it to someone else to see how like to hear their opinion and all that. But I think in most cases it's like one or two prints before I release the
That's very
model.
impressive.
There were some things like the chest I did. Like I did the chest and it worked from the first sprint, but then I started overthinking it, like, okay, what if I add this thing? What if I add that? because of this rotation, I can add more stuff, and it's gonna be support free. And then you just start adding layers, and then you print like more options for the egg that I did the enclosure. Like this was the first test that I did, and it was like print and place thing. It was a goofy little
Wow.
idea, but it it doesn't lock in place. So then I turned that into a 2-day project where I was just figuring out like, okay, maybe I can elevate this thing so there's gonna be like
Right.
lock thing. Then I was looking at like hinges. Oh, can it be printed properly? And I think I did like 7 or 8 prints of hinges to see if everything works. Everything worked great. And today, one of my patrons send a picture in the Discord and says, "Oh, like it looks great, everything is great, but if you're using silk filament, then this part is gonna be like extremely soft and it's gonna break away." I was trying to make a model, for the Easter, and like
Yeah,
I
yeah.
test everything on PLA, but I didn't pick
Yeah,
silk
yeah, yeah.
filament because I would also notice that you just cannot figure out everything no matter how many tests you do. Like
Yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah.
crazy.
So we're coming up on the end of the interview. I want to hit you with some rapid fire questions. What's the last thing that you printed?
Okay. What's the last? Sorry,
The
you're
last thing
breaking.
you printed. Your last print.
Last print. I will show you, but my kid stole it, and it's
Yeah.
egg holder.
Egg holder.
That was
Okay.
the last thing I printed like
You already
yeah,
answered
2 days ago.
your go-to printer is the bamboo. Uh, let's see, what
Yeah.
else? Which of your models are you most in love with? If you had to pick a favorite out of 400.
Oof, that would be extremely hard. Uh, because I don't know if I should pick something that I think it's good or something that bring me some kind of happiness. Like uh, one of the mini dudes that I did, the mini Yondu, was something that director of Guardians of the Galaxy shared
Okay.
on his Instagram, and I was super happy about it. One of my favorite models is the mini Rocketeer that I
Okay.
did. Uh, I have some goofy stuff that I did with my kid, like some kind of egg painter thing that it was our project and then she was little. Uh, oh
That's
yeah, I
special.
actually know. Um, so yeah, I know. There's one that's special. I don't have it here, unfortunately. Again, my kid takes a lot of stuff that
Stole it.
I make. Just
That's the beauty of
it
it.
it goes into her room and then just
There
destroys
you
all of
put
them.
all 400 models that you've printed, but it sounds like your kids break a lot of them. Oh no, I lost you again. We're back.
Uh, well, some yeah, I can hear you now. If I'm not mistaken, you asked me where I put all the models.
Yeah.
Um, I have a lot of models on my table currently and on the shelves, and I have a bunch of stuff in my office. Some of the stuff is inside the box in the basement, and it's only inside the box because one day one of my friends showed up and she took a bunch of my models into boxes and she wanted to put them in her store so people can see it,
Mm.
and that's why they're still in the boxes. Um, I try to, because I don't print everything. I mean I print all of my models, but except that I rarely print stuff. So I try to keep everything to remind me what I did. Uh, but the model that I like the most, it was a model that I accidentally made because one guy sent me a message a few years ago, and he said like he's a huge Queens of the Stone Age like fan, and his daughter also is, and her daughter his daughter asked him, can he print like a mascot of the band, and he was like, okay, I just have a a printer. I have no clue how to sculpt. So he
Right.
started searching for people and found me and sent me the message. And like I do a lot of stuff. Like I said, I need to manage my time properly. That's why I don't take any kind of request. But this hit me like it was a moment where when I was thinking, because my daughter was like 3 years old then, I
Yeah.
was thinking, my daughter asked me something, I would try to do everything in my power
Everything.
to make it happen if it's reasonable. And here I have option to help someone. So I actually did that character, and they wanted to send it to a band, and we made a YouTube video. It's on my channel.
Wow.
Uh, and like I was preparing to they sent me video like his daughter was talking about it, and it was super cool. Like I was really happy. And then before I went to bed, I look at my phone and I noticed that Queens of the Stone Age is following me on Instagram, on YouTube, and I have a private message
Wow.
on Twitter, and I'm like, what is happening? So I opened the message, and it's actually the manager of the band. She noticed the video, and she just wanted to say how that's cool, and
That's
they were
so
coming to
cool.
Croatia, so they sent me tickets to the concert. I was supposed to meet them, but there was some kind of miscommunication. Actually, there wasn't miscommunication. They were supposed to call me, but the whole network went down during the concert,
Oh
so no one
no.
was able to make a phone call at all. So I missed them, but I don't
That's
regret it.
still cool.
It was a great experience.
That's an
Yeah.
amazing story. So Wekster, we're coming up on the end of the interview here. I want to ask you, I don't have the biggest audience in the world, but I do have the best audience in the world. So how can we support you? Where would you like people to check you out, follow you, support you? Give us all your links
Well,
and yeah.
I have a YouTube channel
Hmm.
where I'm doing occasionally I do some 3D printing related stuff, and I have some tutorials for people who want to start something simple in Fusion and ZBrush. Mm, I have a Patreon, patreon.com/Wekster, where I release my models. I have a bunch of free models on printables.com. I'm very active on Twitter, and
Hmm.
and that's it. I have Instagram. I have all of that. So whenever you write Wekster, you'll probably find me. So that's it.
Awesome. Wekster, we beat Italian traffic. We beat, and you patiently waited for me. I apologize once again that I kept you waiting half an hour. Italian traffic, Italian mobile hotspot Wi Fi. Shout out to the unsponsored sponsored of this episode, which is Vodafone, Italy, and Croatian internet. And we made it happen, and I think we did a damn good episode out of it. So thank you very much for coming on. I really enjoyed chatting with you and getting to know you.
Thank you. I wanted to torture you a little bit because you had that message with the link, and it was like, don't be late, be on time, be on time, be
Oh,
on
I know
time,
I'm
and
the
then you weren't
worst.
on time.
And then I was 30 minutes late. I'm the biggest
It was
hypocrite.
like,
But what happened was I thought that Italy hadn't changed the clocks. So I thought I didn't lose time and I thought I had an extra hour and I didn't. So I'm the worst. I'm the biggest hypocrite. But I'll make it up to you next time.
it happens.
Thank you, my friend. It's been a pleasure. If you want to hang back, we can chat
Okay,
for a
sounds
few
good.
minutes. I'm going to run the outro.
Anyway, enjoy your stay in Italy, and
Thank
wait
you,
for you
sir.
back.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks for tuning in to the Infill Podcast. For show notes or links to anything mentioned in today's episode, visit thenextlayer.com. If you enjoyed the episode, please don't forget to leave us a review wherever you're listening, or click the like button to let us know. And consider subscribing to The Next Layer on YouTube so you can tune in live and participate in the next conversation. We'll see you on The Next Layer.